Hello, BookTube. Today, I thought I'd offer my thoughts on the Riyria Revelations, Theft of Swords, by Michael Sullivan. I can't quite remember why I picked up this book. Might have been by chance, perhaps reading some reviews on Goodreads or something. Maybe I saw it on BookTube. This is a fantasy story in a fairly classic style. One thing that is a little bit odd about it is it's 2 books, and while it's not that uncommon to have a book, a volume, split into 2 books, and somewhere in the book it just announces that you've gone on to book 2, quite often in that situation, it's not really clear why there's a book 2, because it really just seems like a continuation of the book. Whereas this story is clearly 2 books being sold in a single volume. I think each book does have a title, can't actually remember what they were. And in fairness, each story involves a basic plot of the 2 main characters, 2 thieves, stealing a sword. Which, now I think about it kind of sounds like it lacks originality, but it doesn't. Although the plots sound similar, they're actually very different and enjoyable. But the overarching title for the volume, Theft of Swords, very appropriate. Now, the 2 main characters, I mentioned before, 2 thieves. They're named Hadrian and Royce. And they're really quite enjoyable characters. Hadrian's a very amiable, gregarious, charming warrior type who everyone can get on with, and everyone wants to be his friend. I want to be his friend. And then there's Royce. Royce is somewhat dry, surly, more mysterious type character. Although he delivers his dry surliness in a rather humorous way that I really enjoyed. And the combination of Royce and Hadrian together worked really, really well. I should note that personally, the less affable, surly Royce character, I want to be friends with even more. He sounds brilliant. Getting past that. So these 2 characters, they're 2 master thieves, have a reputation for being able to steal anything from anyone for the right price. And they do it with style. While there is of course a cast of other characters, all the usual ingredients for a fantasy novel, there's the dark wizardy character, there's the king and the princess. The story really focuses on those 2 core characters, and it works really well. But another thing that this book, particularly the book 1 of the 2-book combo, does well, is keep you guessing. It keeps you guessing who the villain is, and I enjoyed that. It's a theme throughout the book. There's no black and white with trust in this book. Every character trusts every other character to a certain degree. Never fully, except with perhaps the exception of the 2 core characters, Hadrian and Royce, who are like brothers, but they're not brothers. So yeah, you've got all these characters interacting. You as the reader never quite know the motivations of most of the characters, and the characters never quite know their motivations or trustworthiness. It comes across quite well in the book. It's quite realistic of how the world really works. So in every action, characters are somewhat holding back, not wanting to completely throw their lot in case they're going to be betrayed. Quite a lot of excitement and action in the books. Now, as fantasy epics go, these books are clearly setting up a long-running plot to determine who's going to rule the continent. Same thing you get in a lot of fantasy novels. I would say that in comparison to others, it probably lacks the depth of something like The Wheel of Time. Probably, and perhaps, thankfully, lacks the political complications of something like A Song of Ice and Fire. And it's a bit more light-hearted. That the relationship between the two main characters has a fun quality to it that makes the books quite enjoyable to read. There's one or two slow points in the books. Towards the end of book one, there was a rather boring court scene where there's people delivering evidence. Kind of skimmed over that bit, if I'm honest. Quite unnecessary. But that was only a few pages. The rest of the book was really very enjoyable. And I highly recommend this book, actually. It's one that doesn't get a lot of mentions anywhere, really. Quite an underrated book. So, 2 green thumbs up for the Riyria Revelations.